What it do, people? It's the MMA guy. Today, we got some new matchups that we're going to be breaking down. So, new fight announcements. First thing, we have the UFC QATAR situation. UFC QATAR, I mean. So, we have the Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker fight. Finally, the logjam is getting unblocked within this lightweight division. So, this is the first matchup. We're expecting, either a Gagey retirement or a matchup. And then a Paddy matchup as well at the top. Ilya Topuria, obviously. And we also have Bilal fighting fighting Ian Gary on the same card. And even the prelims, on Tapology, you can look at the prelims on that card. It's going to be nasty. So we'll look at those fights. Then there's the Islam versus JDM card edition of BSD versus Old Man Dariush. We're going to be breaking that down as well. Looking at that, giving predictions on those matchups. And the last thing is Nate Diaz versus Dustin Poirier, man. And an OG fight, a classic OG boxing fight that they want to have. So we're going to look at those together. So without further ado, let's get into it. UFC QATAR first. So the main event is going to be Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker. It's going to be a 5-round fight. And I'm fairly certain that the Muhammad against Gary fight is also going to be a 5-rounder. So for the Arman Tsarukyan fight, I've looked back at the Dan Hooker fight against Gamrot. I thought, as a grappler, overall, Tsarukyan is much more dominant than Gamrot. Once he gets you down, he's gonna be more of a problem. Since the fight between Gamrot and Arman, and by the way, I think Arman won that fight. That's my personal belief, and honestly, I just think it's a solid 3-2 for him. I've heard Lucas Tracy say 4-1, and I think might be pushing it a little. I feel like you can argue Gamrot 2-round for sure, but I just think overall that Arman won that fight. But that's pointless. My thing about this is that since then, Gamrot's Arman's physicality has improved a lot more. He imposes his will a lot more than he used to. Although he always did, I feel like now he's like bigger. He feels stronger. He feels like I just think he's going. I'm gonna give my prediction right away. I think Arman's gonna be able to get him down because Gamrot was able to take him down 5 times in that fight, and Gamrot got I think he has a slicker shot selections when it comes to his wrestling. Like he's a better like pure wrestler maybe than Arman, but he doesn't have the strength and he doesn't have the physicality of Arman. And also, one thing about Arman is that you're going to be a lot more tired after he's taking you down once and he holds you there and he does damage. Next round, sure, you're going to be slippier and everything, but you're also going to be a lot more tired than when you fight Gamrot and he wrestles you, he takes you down, you get back up, then you go back to fighting your fight. That's kind of, Gamrot has zero control, and so he doesn't drain you with his, he doesn't have good top pressure or anything like that. Arman has that, and it's a 5-rounder. I think he's going to drown Dan Hooker, and I'm going to pick him to finish him in the, not going to say first half, I'm going to say first 3 rounds. I just think he's going to strangle him, though. I just think he's going to be too much. He might finish him in 1, to be honest. But that would be extremely impressive. I'm going to pick Arman to finish him in 3 rounds. But either way, I can see him winning a decision as well. Now, next we have Bilal Muhammad against Ian Machado Gary. Ian's taking those great fights, man. Ian's taking a fight against Proches, taking a fight against Shafkat. Short notice now, he's taking a fight against Belal. He's finally going to have a full camp, pretty much. He has 7 weeks. Tricky fight. Because Gary has never fought anyone with the level of wrestling as Belal. Because pretty much no one else in the UFC has as good of a shot as Belal. I think Belal was very, very scrappy in his last fight. And he's always willing to throw down. He's just a great wrestler. But I think I'm gonna say I think if Belal starts shooting early, makes him think about it, makes it harder for Gary to just, I don't know, makes him more conscious of opening up on the feet. I think Belal's straight up boxing is very underrated in terms of his effectiveness. I don't care about, for me, when I break down these fights, I have absolutely 0% care when it comes to the aesthetic of it. Not necessarily this guy is not boxing like Muhammad Ali, okay? But he has volume. He imposed his will in the last fight, despite being outboxed, out slick strike. But JDM has way better boxing than Ian Gary. Ian Gary has them good kicks and stuff, but if Belal stays in the pocket with him, it's going to be a problem. And I see him shooting. My big concern with Belal is that he is, he was 37, 38. He's probably going to be 38, 39 by the time they fight. This is tricky. How does he do in that fight when he, and is his body going to react the same? He took a lot of damage in his last fight. I don't know. These are things I can't account for. What I can account for is if he games plan better, starts shooting early like he always has, shows up with the same grittiness. Ian Gary doesn't have power like that. He's not going to KO you unless he lands like a head kick or something. And Belal shouldn't stay in a range where he's going to be head kicked by Gary. So I'm going to pick Belal. Well, obviously, I will come back to this. I will give an official prediction once the actual card, once you were on the actual week of the card. I might come back. I might switch up my take. For now, give me Belal. Give me Belal by a tricky 48-47 where he lands takedowns, get the fight down, and I think he has good volume as well. He has very good volume. He is there to be hit, but Gary doesn't have the same thud that JDM has. JDM doesn't have crazy power. JDM's power is overrated, but he does have some very solid thud, which is not something Gary does have. So I'm going to pick, my initial reaction to those fights is Arman Tsarukyan's going to maul Dan Hooker, and Belal Muhammad is going to beat Gary by decision in a very solid, scrappy fight. Those are what I'm expecting. And those are on the Oral By and Jack Hermanson are also fighting on that card. There's a lot more to break down, but I just want to look at the actual fights that have been released today. Now, 322. Islam Makhachev versus JDM card. So this is Dariush versus Saint Denis. This is a fight that's been added to this card. And my pick is going to be I'm not going to give my pick right away. I'm just going to start breaking it down, giving myself time to think about it, because here's the thing. Dariush's grappling is better than Saint Denis. I think Moicano had the strength and everything. I think Dariush was able to take down Moicano easy. But not only that, he was a better jiu-jitsu player in that fight. That's what I found. I found him to be better with transitions, better with scrambles, everything. He ended up on top. Moicano almost put him out once. And Saint Denis, when it comes to on the feet, straight up, Saint Denis is well, okay. In that second round and stuff, not really, and we saw it in their fight. But he was beaten up in the first, so obviously this changes like a fight completely. But Saint Denis in that first round against Beneil Dariush, this is not good. This is not good at all. We've seen him against Charles. I know that Saint Denis isn't Charles Oliveira. I'm not saying he is, especially not the Charles that Dariush fought. There's no shot. But he does have the same viciousness. And he comes at you with everything. And this is an even older, like 3 years older Dariush. Arman Tsarukyan put him out in 20 seconds or something. I think Saint Denis by first round finish. This is going to be the pick. But I can see Dariush being a tricky customer and giving Saint Denis a run for his money, and just on the if he survives, if he goes in for a shot early, gets it defensively, Saint Denis grappling is shit. Well, it wasn't good when he fought Moicano. Might have gotten better, but Dariush has such a durability problem. When he sees Saint Denis coming forward in that first, he's gonna go back down. He's gonna go backward right away. And I think of Moicano as someone who's not so durable, but Moicano would never knock himself out. If Moicano fought his clone in a striking fight, it would go to decision 10 times out of 10. Moicano almost put Dariush out cold. It was at the end of a round. He just put him flat out on his back. This is crazy. Getting knocked down by Moicano. A 37-year-old Moicano. But then he did win the fight. He does have grittiness. I just think if Saint Denis gets you in that position, you're out. Beneil is gonna get put out. So I'm gonna pick Saint Denis to Murad Dariush. But I would love to see some good scrambles. Which I don't think this fight is gonna be scramble heavy. I think it's gonna be a first round KO. Next one. So we have Nathaniel Diaz versus Dustin the Diamond Poirier. So, this isn't a fight. It hasn't been announced. The thing is that Dustin Poirier called for it, and I feel like Nate's gonna want it. He said, Zuffa boxing, 12 rounds, me and Nate Diaz, I'd do it. Only one more fight I take. Okay. Yeah, I thought this is cool. I mean, I'd be down for it for Zuffa boxing, this whole thing, this TKO organization, to be opened by a OG matchup by like Nate Diaz Poirier. And my thing about that matchup actually is Poirier, like Diaz doesn't have crazy ends, he lost to Jake Paul. That's fair. But he did outstrike, outvolume Masvidal in his second fight. He was probably a lot better in that second fight. And Poirier, I really want to see Poirier in that ring. I think Poirier would be slicker in boxing than in MMA. And I think he's going to whoop on Nate Diaz. I think he'd whoop on Nate Diaz. Can he do it for 12 rounds, though? He looked great. Physical conditioning and everything in his last fight, he looked great. It was more ripped than ever before and everything. So I think he could still do it. Nate, his cardio, Nate could be 55 and his cardio would be good. I think Nate throws pity pat though, and I think Poirier is going to walk through these shots and hurt him, put damage on him. I think Poirier is going to put out Nate Diaz. I think he's gonna TKO him. If that fight happens, obviously this is just like a rumor fight, but that would be interesting to see. I think it could be cool if it's on Paramount as well. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they've signed the deal with Paramount as well, so it would be on Paramount if it happens. So I wouldn't pay for it, but I'd watch it if it's on Paramount. So this is it. So we got the UFC QATAR 322 edition. So BSD versus Dariush, and the Dustin Poirier versus Nate fight fantasy. This is all we had today, and so make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned. Got new stuff coming soon. And let me know what you think.